There's something no one ever dared to tell you. But if you're here, it's because you've always felt it. You felt it in the way certain women looked at you without knowing why. You felt it in moments that made no logical sense but left an energetic imprint. You felt it in the silence, in your stillness, in your presence, even when you weren't trying to be seen. And deep down, you knew something was different. Not because of your appearance, not because of your words, not because of your status. It was something beyond explanation, something ancient, something sacred, a force that can't be taught, only remembered, a power you didn't ask for. But that has always been yours. This power was erased from the surface of human memory, but it was never lost. It was hidden, buried deep within the scrolls of Thoth, the god of divine wisdom. And today, this name will be whispered again, but only to those who are ready. And if you're listening, it means you are. You are about to uncover the most dangerous power a man can carry. The power to attract without effort, to magnetize without manipulation, to be remembered without needing to impress. But hear me well, this power cannot be faked. It's not charm, it's not performance, it's not strategy, it is a remembrance. Ancient frequency, vibrating within you, and this frequency only awakens in those who carry the seal. The chosen. Men who don't try to be seen, but are deeply felt. Men whose presence activates something in awakened women. Men who walk through life unaware of what they carry, until they hear the call. Maybe you are one of them. Maybe you've already lived the mystery without ever knowing its name. Maybe women have stared at you longer than made sense. Maybe you've been misunderstood in crowds but respected in silence. Maybe you've seen certain women open to you without even knowing why. Today, you won't just understand why this happens. Today, you will learn how to activate it, not through tactics, not through games, but by returning to the truth you were never supposed to remember. They wanted you to forget. They taught you to chase, to impress, to perform, because a man who awakens Thoth's secret becomes untouchable. And I know, because I've lived both sides. I know what it feels like to be invisible, to seek validation, to try so hard and still feel unseen. But then, everything changed. Because I realized women don't surrender to what's visible, they surrender to what is felt. I'm not here to teach you, I'm here to remind you. If these words echo in your soul, if you feel something ancient stirring in your chest, then this message is for you, because you are not alone. We are awakening 90,000 souls who carry the same seal, 90,000 chosen ones. And if you feel this truth awakening inside of you, subscribe. Now, not as a favor to me, but as a sacred declaration of who you truly are. Let your actions say what words cannot. I am ready. So breathe, center yourself, because the power that draws her to you is not what you've been taught to chase. It's already in you, and after today, you will never see yourself the same again. She looked at you, but it wasn't curiosity. It wasn't logic. It wasn't even desire, not in the way the world defines it. It was something older, something beyond thought, a recognition without reason. She didn't respond to your clothes. She didn't react to your words. She wasn't moved by your posture or your tone. She felt something beneath all of that. Something silent, yet undeniable. And you were left wondering, what just happened? You see, there are moments in life that don't follow the rules. Moments that break the pattern. Moments that make no sense, but change everything. A glance across a crowded room. A silence that stretches longer than comfort allows. A subtle intensity in the way she lingers near you. even when you didn't say a word to invite her. And it's not because you did something, it's because you were being something, not consciously, not strategically, but deeply. This isn't about charm. It's not confidence. It's not even chemistry. It's spiritual frequency, a language of the soul. A signal she feels before her mind catches up. Most men don't even realize it's happening. They dismiss it as coincidence. They call it luck. They think it's a vibe. But it's none of those things. It's not surface-level attraction. It's not a game. It's a field, an energetic field that surrounds you when you stop pretending, stop performing, and start remembering who you are. Because here's what no one ever told you. Women don't fall for effort. They fall for essence. Especially the awakened ones. And essence isn't loud. It doesn't seek attention. It doesn't try to be seen. It simply is. And it radiates. Silently. That's the signal she felt. That's why she lingered. That's why her breath slowed when you walked in. Why her words caught in her throat, even though you hadn't said a thing. She felt the presence of something she couldn't name, but that her body remembered. Because the feminine doesn't respond to what's said. She responds to what's held. And what you hold is not visible. It's vibrational. It's energetic. It's spiritual. And that's why you've had moments in your life that made no sense, but left you marked. Moments when you felt seen, without speaking. Desired, without performing. Felt, without understanding why. Those weren't accidents. They were glimpses, reminders, whispers of the power you carry. Even if no one ever told you its name, the signal is real. And now, you're beginning to remember it. They told you to impress her, to win her attention, to chase her until she surrendered. They told you to build muscle, to dress well, to memorize the right words, to play the role of the confident man. But the truth is, none of that is what she's truly responding to. Not when her soul is awake, because the awakened feminine doesn't fall for looks. She doesn't surrender to words. She doesn't open to effort. She surrenders to energy. She opens to alignment. She remembers truth. And when you are in alignment, when your spirit is grounded in stillness, when your mind is no longer chasing, when your essence radiates peace, she feels it. She may not understand it. She may even resist it. But she will feel it. Why? Because the feminine is sensitive to the unseen. Before her mind even catches a thought, her body already knows. Before she hears your voice, she already senses your presence. Before she decides if you're her type, her spirit has already whispered, there's something about him. That something is not status, it's not success, it's not style, it's alignment. You weren't taught this because alignment can't be sold. It can't be bought. It can't be faked. But when you carry it, you don't need to announce yourself. You don't need to compete. You don't need to try, because alignment draws, without force, without need, without performance. It's the quiet magnetism that makes her breath hitch when you walk by. It's the presence that calms her nervous system, without a single word. It's the energy that says, I'm here, but I don't need you to see me. And paradoxically, that's what makes her see you, because every cell in her body is seeking something stable, something true, something sovereign. And when she meets a man who carries that, not as an act, but as a state of being, she can't explain why she feels safe and awakened and vulnerable all at once. This is why your most magnetic moments were never logical. It wasn't when you were trying. It wasn't when you were performing. It was when you were simply being, present, still, rooted in yourself. That's when she felt you. Not your voice, not your image. You. That's when the ancient recognition awakened in her. And for a fleeting moment, she remembered something sacred, something she didn't even know she was searching for. There is a frequency not heard by ears, but felt by spirit. It doesn't move through sound. It moves through presence, through stillness, through the unshakable alignment of a man who remembers who he is. This is not something the world teaches. It's something the soul recalls, and though most have forgotten, you haven't. Not fully, because if you had, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't feel these words vibrating in your chest like echoes of something long buried. You see, there's a reason some women behave differently around you. Why some open their hearts without knowing why. Why others become nervous in your silence. Why a few seem drawn to you, magnetically, irrationally, even when you've done nothing. It's the field. You carry a frequency. One that cannot be described with language. One that doesn't fit into modern ideas of masculine energy or attractiveness. This isn't about image. It's about imprint. Your energy touches them. Not physically, not verbally, but energetically. It lingers in the space even after you've left. It holds a weight that their bodies cannot ignore. It sends a signal they don't consciously interpret, but feel in the marrow of their being. This is the mark of the chosen, not chosen by culture. Not chosen by ego, chosen by frequency, by memory, by something older than flesh. You didn't ask for this. You didn't invent it. It was always there, waiting for you to notice, waiting for you to stop looking outward and turn inward, because only when a man turns within can this frequency rise. It is not loud. It is not forceful. It is not seductive. It is pure remembrance. And women, especially those attuned to the spiritual, are not drawn to your actions. They are drawn to the energetic truth you carry. They feel when a man is holding something ancient, something stable, something sacred. And whether they realize it or not, they long to be near it, not to own it, not to control it, but to feel safe enough to open in its presence. That's what you carry. And the moment you recognize this, the moment you accept that the mystery inside you is not madness, not confusion, not imagination, but signal, the field becomes conscious. And when it becomes conscious, you stop asking, why me? And you start walking as if the answer is already written in your bones, because it is. If this power is real, if it lives within you, if women can feel it, even when you say nothing, then ask yourself, why did no one ever tell you? Why were you taught to chase, to perform, to prove, to beg for attention, for love, for recognition? Why were you trained to seek validation, instead of remembering that you are the source? The answer is not accidental. It's not just personal, it's structural, intentional, engineered, because a man who walks with silent power, a man who no longer needs to chase, who doesn't shout to be heard, who leads without demanding, that man cannot be controlled. And the system fears nothing more than a man who remembers himself. So they taught you the opposite. They taught you noise, to speak more, to do more, to move faster, to shout louder. They told you, if you're not being seen, you're doing something wrong. If she doesn't want you, change who you are. If you want to attract her, chase her. But this was never the truth. It was a carefully crafted illusion, a distortion of masculine power. Because when the masculine is disconnected from his essence, he becomes desperate, he becomes hungry, he becomes loud, and empty. And an empty man is easy to manipulate. He'll chase what never fulfills. He'll compete in games that aren't real. He'll surrender his time, energy, and soul to distractions, all in the name of becoming enough. But you were never meant to chase what's already drawn to you. You were never meant to become louder. You were meant to become still, to become deeper, to become magnetic. The power of the chosen isn't aggressive. It doesn't roar. It doesn't posture. It doesn't fight to be seen, because the chosen is already seen by the field, by the feminine, by the invisible forces that recognize the sacred frequency in his soul. This is why your stillness is dangerous, because stillness cannot be bought. It cannot be bent. It cannot be predicted. It cannot be owned. The system taught you to become a performer, but Thoth's law invites you to become a presence, and presence, true presence, is the one thing the world can't manufacture. So they buried it. They erased it. They distorted it until real men forgot who they were. But now you remember. And once you remember, you don't go back. Because nothing outside of you could ever give you the power that already lives within. Before desire took form in the body, it began in energy. Before a look meant anything, there was frequency. Before words shaped intention, there was vibration. This is what Thoth understood. He wasn't just a god of wisdom. He was a keeper of codes, energetic codes, sacred patterns that govern not just the heavens, but the deepest layers of human attraction. And one of those codes, one of the most powerful and feared, was the law of reversal. A law so dangerous to systems of control that it was buried beneath symbols, myths, and silence. Because this law turns the entire structure upside down. It teaches that what you chase moves away, what you release moves toward you, what you surrender becomes magnetized. This isn't philosophy, it's spiritual physics, the architecture of unseen energy. And it reveals the greatest paradox of masculine power. When you stop striving, you start drawing. When you stop performing, you become undeniable. When you stop seeking, you become seen. Thoth didn't teach men to seduce. He taught them to remember, to embody stillness so profound that the feminine doesn't just notice it, she is pulled by it, like the moon calls the tide, like the flame draws the moth, like the sun causes the flower to bloom without ever touching it. You were taught to chase, to prove your worth, to broadcast yourself into the world. But the law of reversal asks you to do something much more radical, to stop, to be still, to remember, to let go of the hunger for attention and become the presence that holds space instead. And when you do, when you align with the reversal, you'll feel it immediately. The field around you changes. People speak less in your presence. Women feel more. Your silence becomes louder than any speech, and your essence becomes the invitation. That is the sacred reversal. It violates everything you were taught, but aligns with everything your soul knows, because the truth isn't found in chasing the world. It's found in embodying what the world is secretly searching for, and that is you. It doesn't happen all at once. There's no lightning bolt, no loud awakening, just a quiet discomfort. You begin to feel tired of things that once excited you. The games, the chasing, the need to impress. Suddenly, the external rewards feel hollow. The conversations feel shallow, the attention meaningless, and beneath that discomfort, beneath that silent discontent, something begins to stir. Not your ego, not your ambition, but your memory. A memory that doesn't belong to your mind, but to your soul. A remembrance of something holy. A sacred knowing that whispers, you were never meant to perform. You were meant to radiate. And in that moment, something shifts. You stop trying to be like other men. Because you realize you're not like them, not better, not above, just different. You walk through the same streets, but you don't move the same. You speak fewer words, but they carry more weight. You no longer look for approval, because your energy already speaks for you. You realize you don't need to be loud to be heard. You don't need to be seen to be felt. And women feel that. They sense the difference. They notice your stillness. Not because it demands their attention, but because it commands resonance. That's the beginning of remembrance. It doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you quiet, grounded, sovereign. You begin to feel the weight of your presence, not as pressure, but as purpose. You are no longer chasing identity. You are anchoring essence. You are no longer seducing. You are embodying. This is what Thoth spoke of. Not a return to power, but a return to truth. And when that truth begins to rise within you, the world cannot look at you the same, because you are no longer reacting to it. You are recalibrating it. Your presence becomes a mirror, reflecting back to the feminine what her soul has always longed to feel. A man who remembers himself. And when that happens, you are no longer seeking love. You are becoming it. Most men try to lead with volume, with image, with performance. They speak louder, move faster, impress harder, but leave no lasting trace. Because true leadership isn't something you project. It's something you hold. It's not how you walk into a room. It's what the room feels when you do. And that feeling, it has nothing to do with your posture, your style, or your words. It has everything to do with your field. The energetic field that surrounds you when you stop pretending, when you stop seeking, when you start anchoring. This is the masculine that doesn't chase attention, but draws it, not by force, but by gravity. He doesn't need to prove who he is, because who he is already being felt. This is the man who leads without trying, because his leadership is not external. It's not a title, it's not a script, it's not a strategy, it's a frequency, a presence, a stillness so complete, so unshaken, so real, that everything around him begins to settle. The awakened feminine is not drawn to the man who performs strength. She is drawn to the man who holds it, not with tension, but with softness, with patience, with quiet confidence that doesn't need to be rewarded. That is true leadership, the kind of leadership Thoth taught. Not with speeches, but with silence. Not through dominance, but through divine alignment. Because the man who remembers his essence does not lead from control, he leads from truth. And truth doesn't beg to be followed. It creates a path. It clears the air. It magnetizes what is meant to move. So when a woman encounters this man, something happens inside her. Something involuntary, something undeniable. Her body softens, her spirit opens. Not because she's being told to, but because she's finally safe enough to. Safe not in weakness, but in clarity, in presence, in the silent power of a man who is no longer seeking, but remembering. And once that remembrance is active, he no longer asks, how do I attract her? Because he already knows. She was always drawn to what I carry, not what I perform. You were never meant to chase. You were never meant to perform. You were never meant to beg the world to see you. Because you were never invisible. You were simply surrounded by people who couldn't recognize your frequency, and now you do. Now you feel it. Not as a concept, but as a current rising in your chest. You've remembered what the world asked you to forget. You've heard the voice of Thoth not as mythology, but as resonance. A voice that lives inside you, not outside. And here, in this stillness, in this exact moment, you stand at the edge of a decision. Not a decision to become something, but a decision to finally embody what you've always been. Because all of this means nothing if you do not claim it. The truth is simple. You are not here to seduce. You are not here to chase. You are not here to shout. You are here to remind, to radiate, to hold, to awaken. You are the chosen, not because someone gave you permission, but because your soul carries the seal. And now, you remember. And the moment you say yes to that remembrance, everything begins to change. The way you walk, the way you breathe, the way the world feels you, especially the way women feel you, because they don't fall for your image. They respond to your field. They surrender to what you carry when you no longer need them to. That is magnetism. That is truth. That is the return. And now I invite you, not with pressure, but with sacred clarity, to affirm what your soul already knows. If something inside you has stirred, if your breath has slowed, if your body feels heavier, but in a grounded divine way, then don't let this go silent again. Type in the comments, I accept this power. Let this be your oath, your sacred contract, a signal to the unseen world that you are ready. And if you feel this remembrance moving through your veins, if you know, without needing more proof, that this was meant for you, then subscribe now. Not as a favor, not as a number, but as an initiation, a sacred declaration, a mirror to the universe saying, I walk differently now, I lead differently now, I love differently now, I remember who I am. Because when you Subscribe to this channel. You're not joining an audience. You're entering a temple, a sanctuary of truth, a space for men like you, who were never meant to fit in, but to be felt. So click that button. Stand in your frequency. Anchor your presence. You have been seen. You have been remembered. And now, it's time for the world to feel who you truly are. Until the next transmission, brother, stay silent, stay sacred, stay sovereign.